How does a child raised with a puppet show saying that, or a cartoon showing that God turned Jews into monkeys, what chance do those children have? Searing hatred is being ingrained in them from the very beginning, from the start. They have no chance to develop healthy, independent, let alone loving attitude towards their neighbors. If you raise your children on a diet of those kinds of images, they will cross a border with their mothers as children, and they will walk into gunfire so they can go to Allah and set the world on fire in the meantime. Mark my words, it is coming. The world must decide now before they see the images of what is going to be thrust upon Israel. Meanwhile, in news that nobody else seems to be reporting for some strange reason, Egypt is now forming a new Nazi party. So, Mr. President, is this what democracy looks like? Earlier this week, there were reports that a Nazi party is being formed in Egypt with a contemporary frame of reference. I don't know, was it the uniforms that were outdated that stopped that from growing here in America? An independent Egyptian news website said they quoted founding members saying the party would bring together prominent figures from the Egyptian society. The party's founding deputy is a former military official. One of the party's leaders said that the membership has been going up at an unexpected rate. The party also has a one-year plan, which is unlike, quote, the marginalized liberal parties, which are like dead bodies. None of this should come as a big surprise. Next week, Wednesday, we will do a show on the roots of the hatred of the 20th century of the Arab world for the Jews. We will show you the Muslim Brotherhood connection to the Nazis. Even according to the Weekly Standard, they report the Muslim Brotherhood has a history, quote, of campaign against the Jews that used not only Nazi-like tactics, but also German funding, end quote. Now they're just making it official by calling it a Nazi party. Didn't we promise each other that we would never forget? And didn't we promise each other never again? How is the world ignoring what is being spoon-fed to children in the Arab world? The article goes on to say that the party membership went from hundreds to hundreds of thousands in the late 1930s. During those years, the Brotherhood conducted only one major campaign in Egypt, and it was against Zionism and the Jews. Mr. President, was there no one in your administration that knew about the connections of the Muslim Brotherhood to the Nazi Party? Is there no one in Washington that is watching the Arab world television as much as my staff is? Mr. President, you cheerlead the Arab Spring. Now that you know that there is a developing Nazi party and you've seen the cartoons yourself, will you still cheerlead? And if you didn't know, well, may I recommend Bill Kristol's Weekly Standard for the basic facts. The reason why I was concerned about all of this happening, and I told you about this in January when Tunisia first went on fire, I told you that it would sweep the Middle East and then into Europe. That people would work together against Israel, against capitalism, overturn stability. They would cascade, sweep the Middle East, begin to destabilize Europe and the rest of the world. And gang, it is happening. And the reason why now they are concentrating this summer, we are headed now towards Memorial Day weekend. And by the time you get back, by Labor Day weekend, the world may look like a completely different place. The world, if Israel is destroyed, if Israel is split, what will happen? It's the key to the Western way of life. Now, in addition to being concerned for the Jews in Israel at the start of the Arab Spring, you may remember that I said these things and it would spread across. And those people would seek a Islamic caliphate. Palestine is the key that will unite, because remember, I was made fun of because they're Sunni and Shia, they don't agree on anything. They agree on driving the Jews into the sea. Now, Days of rage are spreading. They're coming to an Arab Spring near you. And they're also throwing in an extra Nakba Day just for good measure. The Day of Rage planned for Georgia, not our Georgia, but the former Soviet state of Georgia, on May 25th. Good news, it has been canceled. See Ticketmaster for refunds. But Kuwait is still on. May 27th in Kuwait. That's on. The Kuwaiti's interior minister warned youth activists to take their revolution outside of the city square. Apparently, government security is not going to allow the demonstration for revolution, and so they're expecting everybody not to do that. In Ethiopia, on May 28th, another day of rage, government detractors have set up an online campaign calling for an Arab-style protest on Saturday, saying there is no reason why we can't have the Arab uprising in Ethiopia. May 28th is also the day Prime Minister rebels captured the capital in 1991. Yeah, it seems like it's spreading all across the Middle East, doesn't it? But wait, there's more. The Palestinians, the Third Palestinian Intifada, calling for a continuation of Nakba Day. That's happening on June 7th. This is the day Eastern Jerusalem was taken in 1967. I warn you, the Palestinian flag is going to be seen all across the Middle East. It's what will unite the Arab world and destroy Jerusalem and Israel and the Western way of life if we don't pay attention. The Nakba events prove that Palestine can be liberated by mass unarmed marches. They provide the Ummah. If the Ummah agrees, they will pay any price, even 1 million martyrs. That's what it says on their Facebook page. It's happening. And now, I said that it would cascade. It has. It would sweep the Middle East. It has. And begin to stabilize Europe. It has this last weekend. This last weekend, it started in Spain. And believe it or not, I'm running out of, I think it was our last flame. It is now going up to, it's already been in Italy and it is in Greece, but now it is starting in France. France is hosting the G8. There are going to be protests to stand in solidarity with the people in Spain who are angry about austerity programs. But watch for the Palestinian flag. You can turn a blind eye, or you can admit that there's a real problem and things are changing in our world and you need to stand up. Join me standing with or in Israel. In Jerusalem, I will be at the southern wall of the Temple Mount. There are 3 days of events starting in August 21st. It is a peaceful gathering of like-minded people who say never again, who understand that you must stand against evil and you must stand together. If you can't be there, we'll ask you to stand in your own home or your own church. I ask churches to adopt another church, wake them up, to reach out to a synagogue in your area or a Jewish community center and join arm in arm. We'll be live in Jerusalem on the 24th, and we ask you to join us there or join us virtually if you can. Check out the details at glennbeck.com. I started the program tonight talking to you about what makes America great. What makes America great is that America is good. We can get caught up in the news and think that everything is falling apart, and I got news for you. It is falling apart. And then do the wrong thing and look for someone else to give you a solution. The solution to our problems are the solutions that have always been the solution to problems. And the problems seem to be always the same problems. Our society is headed down a path of the early 1930s in Germany under the Weimar Republic. The society was destroyed through war and turmoil and the collapse of faith in the government and the collapse of faith in churches. In the end, it was hyperinflation. But during that time, while the government was inflating the money, they also pushed everything pleasure, self-gratification, drugs, everything they could. They made it easier and easier to get the German people into self-gratification. I don't know if you remember the movie Cabaret, but these are the traits that actually had the German people stop being good. It led to the Holocaust. It led people to become selfish and look the other way. We must not allow this to happen to us, and it can if we're not careful. We're seeing it already in Denny's and McDonald's and everything else where we see these beatdowns. We must stop this, especially in our youth. I don't believe in coincidence. A couple of days ago, I had a couple here join me in the studio, and they came from Chicago, and they just wanted to watch the show, and so they did. And they gave me this book. It was given to me as a gift. It's called The Righteous Among Nations. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was at Yad Vashem. That is the Holocaust Memorial, and where they recognize not only the villains but the heroes. This story, The Righteous of the Nations, is the story of the people who helped during the Holocaust. It's by Mordecai Padil, and it documents the men and the women and even the children from not Germany alone, but all over the world and from all different faiths who risked their own lives to stand in the way, stand as a shield, stand and help save the Jews during the Holocaust. These are people who risked everything to save other people, and they are honored and given the title, The Righteous Among Nations. Next Friday, I'm going to be doing a very special show on this topic, and I found out right before I went on the air that Mordecai Padil is going to be joining us, along with people who were saved at that time. When all is said and done, I don't think there is any goal or any award that could be given that would have more significance than the righteous among the nations. That should be our goal. Join us tomorrow for a Founders Fridays. Make sure you're watching with your kids, and make sure you DVR Monday's program. You don't want to miss it. From New York, good night, America.